Have you ever heard of a place where recipes can control destiny? Where every dish carries a hidden power that can change the course of life? This is the story of Chef Paws, the legendary red cat with a snow-white belly and a chef's hat so tall it could almost touch the clouds. One misty morning, as the sun barely peeked over the hills, Chef Paws found a strange letter outside his bakery door. It wasn't like any letter he had seen before. It shimmered as if it were written with liquid gold, and the seal had a symbol of a fork crossed with a lightning bolt. The letter read, "To the one who stirs the fate of flavors, your greatest challenge awaits. Find the cookbook of eternity hidden beyond the silver forest, or the taste of the world will vanish forever." Chef Paws' whiskers trembled. The world without taste? That was unthinkable. He glanced at his shelves lined with colorful spices, magical herbs, and secret sauces that made every dish come alive. Without hesitation, he packed his satchel a few enchanted ladles, a bottle of phoenix pepper, and of course, his lucky wooden spoon. But Chef Paws knew he couldn't go alone. He ran to find his friends Luna, a clever white kitten with sparkling blue eyes and unmatched speed, and Max, a mischievous raccoon who always wore tiny round glasses. Max wasn't a chef, but he had one irreplaceable talent: solving riddles that no one else could understand. "Are we going on another one of your adventures?" Max yawned when Paws explained the letter. "This is no ordinary adventure, Max," Paws replied, his tone serious. "If we fail, the world will never taste sweetness again. No cakes, no ice cream, no grilled fish." Max froze. "Wait, no grilled fish? Okay, I'm in." The team set out toward the silver forest, unaware that someone or something was already following their every move. In the shadows, a pair of glowing yellow eyes watched, and a raspy voice whispered, "They won't find the cookbook, not before I do." The path to the silver forest was anything but ordinary. It twisted through rolling meadows filled with glowing mushrooms, crossed rivers of shimmering blue water, and cut through fields where flowers hummed softly as the wind passed over them. Luna darted ahead, her white fur shining like a tiny comet under the rising sun. "Come on, slowpokes," she called, her voice teasing. Max groaned, dragging a heavy backpack stuffed with snacks. "Why do I have to carry everything? I'm the brains, not the brawn." "You're also the one who eats half the supplies," Paws said, smirking. Max stopped mid-step, his cheeks puffing up. "That's called quality control." By midday, they reached the forest's edge. The silver forest was breathtaking. Every tree glistened as though its bark had been painted with liquid moonlight. The leaves shimmered, reflecting both sunlight and something otherworldly, almost like tiny fragments of stars. Luna sniffed the air, her ears twitching. "Something feels strange," she murmured. Paws nodded. "Stay alert. The letter mentioned the cookbook is hidden deep within, which means it's protected." The moment they stepped inside, the forest came alive. The wind whistled like whispers, and the ground pulsed faintly beneath their paws. The magical woods weren't just beautiful, they were testing them. The first challenge came quickly. The path split into three, and above each path hovered a glowing sign written in ancient culinary symbols. Paws frowned. "I can read spices and sauces, but this is older than anything I've seen." Max adjusted his tiny glasses and squinted. This one says something like flavor of the heart. This one means taste of truth. And the last, bitter path." "Bitter path sounds terrible," Luna said. "Which means it's probably the correct one," Max muttered. Paws thought for a moment, then made a decision. "No, we follow the path of the heart. If this quest is about saving flavor, it has to be about love for cooking." The path of the heart was winding and overgrown. Vines shifted like snakes, and giant flowers leaned toward them, releasing sweet but dizzying scents. Luna nearly tripped over a root, but Max caught her tail just in time. Suddenly, the ground trembled. From the shadows of the trees, something emerged, an enormous creature made entirely of dough. Its body was soft and sticky, with a face that looked like twisted bread dough. "Is that a bread golem?" Max whispered, horrified. The golem roared, shaking crumbs everywhere, and started charging. "Spread out!" Paws shouted, grabbing his lucky spoon. He jabbed it into a pouch of phoenix pepper, then flung the fiery spice at the creature. The pepper exploded like a tiny firework, sizzling against the dough. The bread golem shrieked as its body began to harden from the heat, but it didn't stop. Luna zipped around its legs, tying them together with creeping vines. "Max, do something smart," she yelled. Max looked around. spotted a puddle of sparkling river water nearby, and had an idea. Paws, throw flour into the water now. Flour? Really? Trust me. Paws hurled flour from his bag into the water. The mixture turned into a sticky paste. Max scooped some up with a stick and flung it onto the bread golem's face. The creature's eyes sealed shut as the paste hardened, and with a final groan, it toppled over, crumbling into harmless crumbs. Luna sighed with relief. We're not even halfway through the forest, and we're already fighting living bread. Paws wiped his brow. We'll need to stay sharp. Whoever put that thing here doesn't want us finding the cookbook. From the shadows, the glowing yellow eyes appeared again. A low chuckle echoed through the forest. They survived the first challenge, but the second will break them. As they ventured deeper into the silver forest, the air grew colder, and a faint mist began to roll between the trees. The sunlight that had once shimmered through the leaves now seemed to dim, as though the forest itself was testing their resolve. Max shivered. I don't like this. It feels like we're being watched. Luna's ears twitched. We are being watched. I can feel it too. Paws tightened his grip on his satchel. Then let them watch. We're not turning back. They followed the narrow path until they reached a strange clearing. At the center stood 3 giant stone bowls carved into the ground, each filled with a different liquid. One glowed red like molten fire, the second shimmered blue like crystal water, and the third swirled black like tar. Above the bowls was a riddle carved into an ancient slab. Choose the flavor that speaks truth. One taste brings life, another youth, but one will bring a bitter end, and all your hearts it cannot mend. Max groaned. Ugh, I hate taste tests. Luna glared at him. You hate everything except snacks. Paws studied the bowls. This is a test of intuition. The cookbook of eternity is about balance. Fire, water, and shadow. Only one can guide us forward. Yeah, but what if you're wrong? Max asked nervously. I like my heart unmelted. Thank you very much. Luna stepped closer and sniffed each bowl. The red one smells spicy and warm, almost comforting. The blue one is clean and fresh. The black one smells like burnt sugar and sadness. Burnt sugar and sadness? That's oddly specific, Max muttered. Paws closed his eyes and let his instincts take over. He dipped his wooden spoon into the blue bowl and took a small taste. The moment the liquid touched his tongue, the clearing transformed. The mist parted, the trees shimmered, and the path ahead lit up with glowing footprints leading deeper into the forest. See? It's about purity of flavor, Paws said proudly. Or we just got lucky, Max grumbled. Let's not pretend you're some flavor wizard. As they followed the glowing path, they began to hear strange whispers, as if the trees were talking. Luna slowed down, ears pricked. Do you hear that? Max froze. Yeah, and I really hope it's not ghost squirrels. The voices grew louder, forming actual words. Turn back. You cannot win. The shadows will consume you. Suddenly, the path beneath their paws cracked open. A dark pit yawned beneath them, swirling like a black whirlpool. Paws leapt forward just in time, but Luna's paw slipped. Luna, Paws shouted, grabbing her by the tail. Max scrambled to help, tugging them both back onto solid ground. Okay, I officially hate this forest, Max panted. When they finally reached the other side of the clearing, they found something they hadn't expected: a small, ancient kitchen built entirely of silver wood and crystal counters. It looked untouched, as if waiting for someone to cook there. On the counter sat a silver knife and an empty recipe card glowing faintly. Paws approached cautiously. This must be part of the test. The forest wants us to cook something. Cook what? Max asked. We barely have ingredients left. The recipe card filled itself with glowing words. Bake the bread of courage. Only then will the path reveal itself. Luna tilted her head. Bread of courage? What's that? Paws smiled faintly. I think I know. It's not about the ingredients. It's about the heart behind it. Help me. They worked together, Paws kneading dough with precision, Luna adding drops of sparkling forest dew, and Max, surprisingly focused, sprinkling just the right amount of stardust sugar from Paws' pack. When the bread came out of the crystal oven, it glowed softly like a warm sunrise. The ground shook as the ancient kitchen shifted, revealing a hidden staircase descending into the earth. Max gulped. A spooky underground tunnel. Yep, this is totally fine. Paws looked down the staircase. The cookbook is close. I can feel it. In the darkness beyond the stairs, the glowing yellow eyes watched once again. They've made it further than I thought, the voice hissed. but soon their courage will crumble, just like their bread. The staircase spiraled downward, creaking under their weight, until they reached a massive underground hall. The walls were carved with ancient symbols of food spoons, knives, steaming bowls, and flames. It looked like a forgotten temple dedicated to cooking. At the center of the hall stood an enormous table, and on it lay a single book bound in gold leather, glowing faintly. The Cookbook of Eternity. "There it is," Paws whispered, his voice filled with awe. Luna's tail swished with excitement. "We actually found it." Max, however, didn't look relieved. Yeah, but it can't be this easy. Something's not right." As they stepped closer, the floor suddenly cracked. A deep growl echoed through the chamber. From the shadows rose a creature unlike anything they had ever seen. A monstrous figure made of fire and smoke, with long claws like melted silver. Its head was shaped like a twisted chef's hat, and its voice boomed like thunder. "Who dares seek the Cookbook of Eternity?" The trio froze. Friendly neighborhood chefs," Max squeaked, hiding behind Paws. The creature's eyes flared. "To earn the right to this book, you must prove that your cooking is not just skill, but heart." Suddenly, the table before them was covered with ingredients, floating vegetables, spices, and meats that glowed as if alive. The challenge was clear. They had to cook against the Guardian. "This is insane," Luna said, her fur standing on end. Paws grinned, spinning his wooden spoon. "No, this is what I was born to do." The battle began. The Guardian conjured flames that roasted meat mid-air, while Paws and his friends scrambled to prepare their dish. Luna zipped back and forth, fetching ingredients faster than the eye could follow. Max deciphered magical runes on the spice jars, figuring out which ones wouldn't explode. "Add a pinch of stardust pepper," Max yelled. "That's not a pinch, that's a galaxy." Luna complained, but did it anyway. Paws stirred the pot, his movements so fast that sparks flew from the spoon. The Guardian's dish looked perfect as shining roast with golden glaze. But Paws had something the Guardian didn't: soul. With the final touch, Paws presented his dish, a glowing stew filled with warmth, light, and love. The Guardian sniffed it, paused, and then stepped back. "You have passed the test, but the path is not yet complete. The cookbook is yours, if you can face the darkness outside this temple." Before they could respond, the Guardian melted into smoke, and the entire hall trembled. The walls began to collapse. "Run!" Luna shouted, leaping onto Paws' back. Max scrambled behind them as rocks fell from the ceiling. They barely made it up the staircase, bursting into the forest just as the temple sank into the ground. Paws held the cookbook tightly. It was warm, almost alive. But as they looked at its golden cover, they saw something strange on the last page. Words were already appearing, as if being written by an invisible hand. "The final recipe will cost you more than you know. Prepare your hearts." Max's tail puffed up. "I really don't like the sound of that." In the distance, the glowing yellow eyes appeared once more, but this time, they stepped into the light. A tall, shadowy fox with black fur and golden rings around his eyes stood before them, smiling wickedly. Well, the fox said smoothly. "You found my book." "Your book?" Paws growled. "The Cookbook of Eternity doesn't belong to you." "Oh, but it does," the fox purred. "I'm called Valor, and I've been waiting for someone foolish enough to bring it out of that temple for me." Luna hissed, her fur bristling. "We're not handing it over." Valor's grin widened. "Oh, I think you will, because if you don't, I'll make sure the world tastes nothing but ashes." The forest went silent as Valor's words hung in the air. Even the wind seemed to stop. Paws tightened his grip on the golden book, feeling its warmth pulse like a heartbeat. "You'll have to fight us for it," Paws said, his voice steady but low. The fox's grin turned sharp. "Fight you? Oh no, little chef. I don't fight. I corrupt." With a snap of his claws, the trees around them twisted into dark, thorny shapes. The ground beneath their paws turned black and cracked like burnt crust. Shadows slithered across the forest floor, rising into the shapes of ghostly animals with glowing, empty eyes. Luna growled, "I really hate foxes." Max whimpered, "I told you this was a bad idea. I'm too young to be a ghost snack." Paws stepped forward. "Listen, Valor, this book isn't for power or control. It's for creating, for bringing joy through flavor. You wouldn't understand that." The fox's golden eyes glimmered with amusement. "Joy? Do you think anyone remembers who made the last great dish? Or the last sweet bread that warmed someone's heart? No, power is all that matters. And with this book, I can flavor the entire world in my image. The shadows lunged. Luna darted through them, scratching and biting, but they were endless. Max fumbled with a pouch of spices, tossing random herbs in panic. Do shadows even care about basil? He shouted. Paws reached into his satchel and pulled out the bread of courage they had baked earlier. He broke it in half, holding one piece high. The bread glowed like a tiny sun, burning the shadows away wherever its light reached. Valor hissed, stepping back. Interesting. So the forest blessed you after all. But let's see how long you last. With another snap, the fox vanished and the ground trembled. A massive shadow rose in his place. A monstrous version of Valor, made of smoke and fire. It towered over them, claws like knives. Luna's tail puffed up. Okay, that's officially the scariest thing I've ever seen. Paws clenched his spoon. We're not running. Not this time. The battle was chaos. Paws used every spice in his pack like a weapon, tossing fiery pepper bombs and clouds of cinnamon dust to distract the creature. Luna darted around its legs, clawing at the smoke, while Max miraculously came up with a plan. Paws, we need a dish that seals the shadow. Use the cookbook. Paws flipped open the golden book, its pages glowing. One recipe stood out, written in bright silver ink, the binding feast. It required 3 ingredients. They had courage bread, stardust sugar, and phoenix pepper. Max, mix the sugar. Luna, keep it busy. Paws shouted. Luna zipped between the shadow's claws like lightning. Hurry up, chef, before I become a pancake. Paws cooked like his life depended on it, his paws a blur as he stirred the mixture. The ingredients fused into a glowing, molten dish. He hurled it at the shadow, and the moment it touched the smoky mass, the creature screamed and began to collapse inward. Valor's voice roared from the smoke. You think this is over? This is just the beginning. With one final shriek, the shadow burst into sparks, and the forest grew quiet again. The trio stood there panting. Paws looked down at the cookbook, now glowing brighter than ever. Luna sighed. Well, that was horrifying. What's next? Do we just keep this book and hope no one else tries to eat us? Max shook his head. No, if Valor wanted it, others will too. We need to find out what this book really is. Far away, deep in the mountains, a faint voice whispered through the wind. They have the book. Good. The next trial begins now. The morning after the battle, the forest looked strangely calm. Dew shimmered on the leaves, and the birds sang as if nothing had happened. But Paws couldn't shake the feeling that someone or something was watching. He stared at the cookbook, which now pulsed with a soft golden light. This book isn't just recipes, he murmured. It's alive, guiding us somewhere. Luna rolled her eyes. Great, a magic cookbook with a mind of its own. Just what we need. Max was already nervously nibbling a leftover biscuit. Can it guide us to a safe place where fox demons don't try to eat us? Because I vote for that. As they walked through the forest, the book suddenly flipped open on its own. A glowing map appeared across its pages, showing a path that stretched beyond the silver forest to a mountain range called Ember Peaks. At the top of the page, a single word shimmered, ascend. Luna frowned. Ascend? As in climb those giant, freezing mountains? Nope, hard pass. Paws smiled faintly. It's the next trial. If we want to understand the cookbook and stop anyone like Valor, we have to go. Max sighed dramatically. Why can't magic ever lead us to, I don't know, a beach resort? The journey to Ember Peaks was brutal. The wind howled like 1,000 wolves, and icy snowflakes stung their fur. They climbed narrow paths where one wrong step meant tumbling into the abyss below. Luna, despite her complaints, was the fastest climber. You two are slower than a snail in winter, she called from ahead. Max groaned, clutching a rock. I'm allergic to heights, and snow, and exercise. Paws chuckled. You'll live, probably. At the base of the tallest peak, they found an ancient gate carved from black stone. Strange runes glowed faintly across its surface. The cookbook opened again, displaying a riddle. Only the flame of trust shall open the way. One lie, and the path will decay. Luna tilted her head. Flame of trust? What does that even mean? Max raised a paw. Is it fire? Because I don't see any matches lying around. Paws looked at his friends and realized what it meant. It's us. We have to trust each other completely. No secrets, no lies. Luna hesitated. You mean like confessing stuff? Yes, Paws said. The gate will know if we're hiding something. There was a long pause. Luna took a deep breath. Fine, I stole your last cinnamon roll yesterday. Max gasped. You what? Luna shrugged. It was delicious. No regrets. Max sighed. Okay, my turn. I lied when I said I knew how to read the spice runes back at the temple. I was just guessing. Luckily, I guessed right. Paws smirked. I knew it. All right, my turn. I've been afraid this whole time that I'm not good enough to carry this book. That maybe the forest chose the wrong chef. The moment he said it, a flame sparked on the gate, spreading across the runes like liquid fire. With a rumble, the gate opened, revealing a glowing cave inside the mountain. Max blinked. Wait, so, honesty is magic? Luna snorted. Don't get used to it, Max. Inside the cave, they found a strange kitchen like the one in the Silver Forest, but this one was carved from ice and glowing crystals. A single pot simmered in the center, though no fire burned beneath it. The cookbook flipped to a new page. The Trial of Memory. Cook the dish that means the most to your heart. Paws stared at the pot. A dish that means the most to my heart? I know what it is. He began to prepare his mother's old recipe, a simple carrot stew with fresh herbs. As he cooked, the pot began to glow softly, and images of his past filled the cave, his childhood kitchen, his mother's warm smile, the first time he ever stirred a pot. Luna watched, her eyes wide. It's beautiful. Max sniffled. I'm not crying. It's just the onions. Definitely the onions. When the dish was done, the cave rumbled. The pot transformed into a shining key, which floated into Paws' paws. The next part of the journey was waiting, but outside the cave, Valor stood at the mountain's base, watching with a sinister grin. Keep climbing, little chef, he whispered. The higher you go, the harder you'll fall. The cold mountain wind roared around them as they descended from the glowing cave. The key clutched tightly in Paws' paw. The key wasn't ordinary, it radiated warmth, like it held the memory of every happy meal ever shared. What do we do with it? Luna asked, eyeing it suspiciously. It must open something important, Paws replied, flipping open the cookbook. Sure enough, a new page had appeared, showing the outline of a grand kitchen throne surrounded by flames. The page's heading read, The Heart of the Hearth. Max groaned. Why does everything sound so dramatic with this book? Can't it ever say, take a nap, eat a snack, you're done? As they trekked through the snow, a strange noise cut through the howling wind, a metallic clang, followed by laughter. They followed the sound and soon stumbled upon a peculiar sight. A camp of mechanical creatures, like living kitchen utensils made of bronze and steel. A whisk with glowing eyes hopped toward them. Intruders, state your purpose. Luna's jaw dropped. We're being interrogated by a whisk. A whisk? Paws raised his paws calmly. We're travelers. We mean no harm. The whisk tilted its head, then rolled aside, allowing a massive iron pot with legs to stomp forward. It wore a rusty crown and spoke in a deep, echoing voice. I am Iron Chef Kettle, ruler of the kitchen golems. Why have you come to Ember Peaks? Paws explained their quest, holding out the golden cookbook. The golems murmured among themselves, the clang of their metal bodies echoing like drums. Iron Chef Kettle studied them carefully. The heart of the hearth lies beyond these mountains, but the path is treacherous. Many who seek the eternal flame have fallen. Luna crossed her arms. We're still standing. Kettle's eyes glowed brighter. Then prove yourselves. Cook a dish worthy of my kingdom. The golems brought them to a colossal kitchen carved into the side of the mountain. Fires blazed in stone ovens, and mechanical arms stirred pots that seemed to cook on their own. Paws, Luna, and Max got to work. It was unlike any cooking they had done before. The ingredients were enchanted metals, molten gold butter, silver wheat flour, and spices that shimmered like stars. Max nearly burned his fur off when a pepper exploded. Why do peppers always try to kill me? Luna smirked. Because you're too slow. Finally, Paws created a dish unlike any other, a pie with a glowing crust, filled with stardust cream and topped with fiery sprinkles from phoenix pepper. Iron Chef Kettle tasted it and let out a booming laugh. Magnificent! The flame recognizes you. He handed them a shard of glowing ember, its surface dancing with tiny flames. This is your second key. When combined with the first, it will unlock the hearth's path.